Hello.
Hello, Dr. Peterson. Thank you for everything you've done this past year, and I do mean everything, the political stuff, this lecture series.
Going to get you to move just a... Yes, great. Belt it out, man.
Okay, so I'll try to be succinct. I have two comments and one question.
Okay.
My first comment is you mentioned how you were prevented from uploading your YouTube video from last week.
Yeah.
I actually attended that lecture and I make pretty detailed notes, so if you want, maybe I can email you.
That's okay, I've got it. It's my account's reinstalled, restored. Yeah, and so it's okay. It's straightened out, and I'm going to upload all the videos to a bunch of other sites, and so this isn't going to happen again. So, but I appreciate that.
I actually missed some lectures and I do want to look at them online.
Yeah.
My second comment is about sort of kind of going into the commentaries of Christian theologists over the centuries, like you've done yourself. I just would like to encourage everybody to also look at not just Western Christianity, but also Eastern Christianity, like the Orthodox writings. There's a big difference between the two in that the Western sort of theology comes out of the Roman law, Roman justice. So there's a lot more of an emphasis on kind of justice, and Christ came, he died on the cross for our sins. So there's that kind of like legal payback, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Whereas the Eastern theology is a lot more, like it focuses a lot more on love and on sort of the positive aspects. And if you do read like the first 4 centuries of Christianity, where there was no schism, there's very little mention of like a sort of legalistic framework. It's a lot more, I don't know, prosaic or more heartfelt, I guess. So I think it's important that we also in the West look at the Eastern counterpart, especially more so now because I do perceive a lot of fake love as being at the center of this malevolence that you mentioned. So like, you know, this whole thing about demonizing the opposition, saying that they're heartless, they have no love, this and that. I perceive that as a lot of fake love. And I think that we have to keep in mind what true love is. Sometimes it looks ugly, like in dealing with psychiatric patients. Maybe like other countries are not as liberal as Canada, but they get results a lot more often. You don't see as many psychiatric patients on the road, for example, in Greece, where I'm from. So, yeah, that was kind of my comment, that we need to focus a lot more on what real love is, I think, and not just the kind of love that you can put on a scale. Because I don't think that you can put love on a scale.
So I've been talking, as some of you know, to this guy, Jonathan Pajot, who's an Orthodox carver, and he started a YouTube channel, and he's talking a lot about Orthodox issues, and I'm pretty ignorant when it comes to Orthodox Christianity, but from what I understand of it so far, there's plenty to be learned, so, yeah.
I'm Orthodox myself. I just recently came back to my faith 2 years ago. Basically, that was the original Christianity. Then there was a schism of 1054 between East and West because of the conflicts that the Eastern Christians have with the Pope. And then after that, you also had a schism internally within the West between Catholicism and the Protestants. So that's kind of like the big difference, that Christianity actually came from the East. So I think that's why it's important that we look at the most ancient texts, because those were the ones that were closest to the original message. So now to my question. It's about atheism. You might hear a lot of times people criticizing anybody that has any sort of belief in a deity or a God, that you're just somebody that has an imaginary friend.
Yeah.
You know, like the Heavenly Father that you have to adhere to, that you have no will of your own.
Yeah.
So then there's also, like, wouldn't the counter argument be that, okay, so if I have a good relationship with my father and that's why I'm more likely to accept a higher deity, then could it be that you as an atheist, maybe you have conflict with your father and that's why you're adverse to kind of submitting to a higher being that kind of dictates your life?
Well, you're attempting a psychoanalysis of atheism, you know, and there's many factors that go into atheism. I would say that you could make that case in some situations, but not in all. I do think, though, and I think this is perhaps where your question is stemming from, is that it's no fluke that at the same time that one of the consequences of the death of God that Nietzsche announced back in the late 1800s is the all-out assault on masculinity that's occurring in our culture now. And those things are associated. And I do think that does have to do with a lack of faith in the masculine spirit. And that's a very bad thing because, well, it's a bad thing for everyone, obviously, because women have a partially masculine spirit and they have to put up with men. And so to demolish that or to fail to nurture it, which is certainly what's occurring, is just a pathway to absolute disaster. So